Greetings, Cowboys fans. In today's video, I bring you a lot of exciting updates, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Today, we'll dive into various trade rumors, ideas, theories, and suggestions that deserve exploration. One idea, in particular, is quite surprising, and we'll address it later in the discussion. It's interesting to note that recently, signs have emerged suggesting more transactions may be on the way, signaling a commitment to ongoing progress. The process of acquiring players is a year-round job. When opportunities arise that could strengthen the team, action will be taken. This offseason, there's been significant movement in trade discussions. The team has moved up in the draft several times since 2016, which is unusual for them. Trades have been made involving various players, and the expectation is that the team will assess its needs during the early weeks of training camp. However, it's essential to talk about some of the trade ideas that have come up, as some suggestions are genuinely intriguing. There is one player in particular who was mentioned earlier and seems to be on the brink of being traded, though not necessarily to this team. A trade seems imminent. Additionally, it's baffling how some people can comment on sports without a basic understanding of the subject. Efforts have been made to avoid interacting with these kinds of comments. However, they still appear in messages and various sources, raising questions about the quality of the discussions that are taking place. One aspect that stands out is the dishonesty present in sports conversations. Efforts have typically been made to avoid this type of rhetoric, but when necessary, responses are given, especially when similar narratives are found across different platforms, prompting a reevaluation of the general discourse in this field. It doesn't make sense. Today's conversation will deeply explore these issues. The main update we plan to share is that there will be new information before the first week. This gives us considerable time for potential developments. Will there be more trades? The answers can be left in the comments section of today's discussion, should an announcement appear here on the platform. Great! This is an opportunity for you to share your opinions. Now, let's focus on Jaylen Ramsay, who has been a major topic in the NFL. There's still a lot of buzz and expectation surrounding a potential trade involving Jaylen Ramsay and the Miami Dolphins. A well-known writer recently revealed that there is more interest in Jaylen Ramsay than many realize, with June shaping up to be a crucial time for a potential deal. A trade after the first day of June seems feasible. Typically, various moves are expected after that date, since many negotiations can occur beforehand. However, trades must happen after this date to be classified appropriately. This deadline is significant. Currently, the Miami Dolphins have a considerable amount of space under the salary cap. While this amount can be adjusted, this is the current situation. Ramsay's existing salary cap hit is high. If the Dolphins decided to trade him now, they would face serious financial implications. Therefore, their salary cap would shrink drastically, requiring additional moves to create space. If the trade happens after June 1st, they would be in a more favorable position, freeing up significant amounts and making financial considerations even more relevant. It's important to note that, despite having higher future financial obligations, the situation remains under control. The financial implications for Jaylen Ramsay in the upcoming years suggest a considerable cash flow, with a significant increase leading to his impending free agency. Cash flow is the main focus, as it is directly related to what will actually be paid out. It's not just about the immediate impact on the salary cap. The financial matters start becoming increasingly important. In 2026, the situation becomes more challenging. In 2025, the amount allocated to a player is $21.1 million. This amount follows a similar trend in 2026 and experiences a slight increase in 2028. He will become a free agent in 2029. The financial aspect is the main focus here, as this is what you would be willing to pay him. However, this amount doesn't represent what will go into the salary cap. In fact, for 2025, the cap hit is just $5.92 million. In 2026, this number jumps to $18.3 million, continuing to rise in subsequent years. From the moment you decide to release him or cut him in 2029, or even earlier, there will be a balance of money left unused. This depends on when you decide to cut him and for how long he stays with the team. Essentially, This balance represents what has yet to be paid to him on the cap. Therefore, after that decision, a financial remainder will stay. This is mainly due to a large bonus paid early in the first week. That amount is given to him, but it doesn't have a major impact on the salary cap. So, in terms of the contract, the cap impact is relatively easy to manage. It's not an exorbitant amount. Any team in the league can handle this situation if they wish to. In this scenario, you're looking at a $6 million cap hit for 1 year. But if you decide to cut him, you'll have to bear $14 million the following year. That means the total comes out to $18 to $22 million over 2 years, but with a significant amount of unused money. Therefore, the financial question is central. You can cover these costs short-term. If you're a championship contender, you might decide to invest in that 1 or 2 year window, which could really work for the team. It might be excessive for other teams. Historically, based on their actions, this team isn't willing to spend $21 million in 1 year or $42 million over 2 years, as it likely exceeds their self-imposed cap. This is because they're already paying a cornerback, and there's uncertainty about how much longer they will continue this practice. A significant payment will be made soon, and they likely don't want to add another high-priced player to that position. In a broader analysis, if they decide to sign a star athlete, it's likely they won't keep the current players for the next season, or one of them will be gone, even though it's already speculated that one of them won't stay long-term. It's a big name, and there are rumors that this team is considering 2 trades. I believe they involve a combination of players and a lower first-round pick. I don't expect them to go after another player. Recently, I've noticed that other media outlets are discussing these rumors, highlighting the need to mention them. One player suggested that the team trade a second-round pick for another player, and this has been echoed in other sources. Again, this is not surprising given that it's May. I have my doubts about this and don't find it very feasible. In fact, I would argue that it's not something this team should pursue. In the last 2 years, here are the statistics for the players involved. One of them had more targets, more yards. I'm concerned about this situation. In fact, I don't see this as a very plausible circumstance. Furthermore, I will argue that this is not something that should be pursued. Looking at the last 2 seasons, we can compare the statistics of 2 athletes. One of them had more passes thrown his way and more receptions, though he's slightly behind in yards. He averaged 3 yards per reception, partly due to how these athletes are employed differently. The other player, on the other hand, participated in 3 more games over the last 2 seasons, which may explain his higher yardage count. Both have the same number of drops, but this is more concerning for one of them, as he had considerably fewer targets and receptions. Even so, their production isn't drastically different. It's not enough to justify a distinction in draft picks, especially a second-round pick. One of these athletes had a standout 2021 season, but after an injury in 2022, he couldn't maintain that performance. His current production, which doesn't exceed 700 yards and has more drops than touchdowns throughout his career, raises concerns. Overall, the potential of this athlete is much more appealing than his current condition. I have more reflections on the subject, but would you consider making a trade? If so, express yourself positively. If not, indicate the opposite in the comments. It seems that every few months, there are discussions about a potential trade. Now, as we approach his 5th year, the expectation of what he could become is far more relevant than the reality of his current performance as a young tight end. With a salary approaching $11 million for the next season, do you really want to invest that amount in an athlete who has more drops than touchdowns and hasn't surpassed 700 yards in 3 seasons? The idea of giving up a second-round pick represents an excessive cost. I don't think he's worth that considering his current contract and the impact it's likely to have. A trade in 2025 doesn't interest me at all. However, if and when he becomes a free agent in the next offseason, that's a different situation. That's a very high cost. I don't see him anywhere near being worth it considering his current contract and the expected impact. A trade in 2025 doesn't appeal to me. To be clear, I'm not drawn to it. However, if and when he becomes a free agent in the next offseason, I'd like you to be in favor of considering a trade for the other player. That could spark a completely different conversation. But at this moment, I acknowledge there's a notoriety factor involved. I don't see this as a safe investment. More daily content about the team will be coming here. So, if you haven't already, consider subscribing. I want to delve a little deeper into this issue. The latest sports article mentions that an athlete may be looking for a trade. Before I go into detail, let me explain what the article said. Recently, an agent emphasized that he's eager to start contract extension talks. Unfortunately, it's hard to imagine a scenario where the team really prioritizes that. Over time, the owner has postponed extension negotiations for other players, and currently, other players are in focus. He might end up being sidelined, but various teams in the league may show interest in trading for the athlete and offering the contract he deserves. A heads up, the scenario where the team actually prioritizes this player, if not as the main priority, at least as the second one, is the reality we face. This should be the last comment on sports, as there's a lack of understanding about football. Be aware of what you're writing. The lack of understanding here is honestly surprising. The team won't pay me to make a trade. What? You want to trade one of the most promising young guards in football, who has a 5th-year option and a franchise tag. What are you saying? I believe it's much more likely that the team opts to pay this athlete. So what do you think? What's the likelihood that the team will actually compensate this player? I'll go deeper into the reasons why I believe this will happen, but I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments about today's discussion. While I can't predict exactly when it will happen, since we're talking about this team, I'm convinced they will end up compensating this athlete. So far, they've moved forward with a contract for another player. I will delve deeper into the reasons why I believe this is likely to occur, but I genuinely want to hear your opinions in the comments about the topic we are discussing today. Although I'm uncertain about the timing, given the team's dynamics, I am convinced they will focus their investment on Tyler Smith. Currently, no moves have been made, particularly after addressing the contracts of some pivotal players. Furthermore, there's the situation concerning a specific player who is set to become a free agent at the end of this upcoming season. It's challenging to foresee whether this will be an uncomplicated process, as this team has previously navigated complexities in similar situations. Tyler Smith stands out as a crucial offensive lineman for an organization that places a high premium on its offensive line. The thought of not compensating their top player adequately seems quite illogical. This will likely necessitate a considerable financial outlay. We have previously projected a contract of around 4 years at $22 million annually, which would position him among the highest-paid guards in the league. Securing this deal before finalizing another player's contract would be advantageous. It is significant to note that the team presently has minimal financial commitments to players beyond this season. At this time, the primary roster includes several key players, and agreements have been reached with a number of others, although one is approaching free agency. All of those contracts can be readily terminated after this year, making them not just tradable, but genuinely cuttable. Eventually, another player will join this category, but organizations typically allocate substantial resources to more than just a handful of essential players. Wouldn't you agree? The idea that there will be an unexpected player left out does not point to Tyler Smith. It could likely involve someone else, but Tyler Smith is not part of that equation at all. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In a shocking twist that has sent ripples through the football world, rumors are swirling that Tyler Smith, the standout talent formerly of the Dallas Cowboys, is set to leave the team and join a fierce rival on a mega contract. The news, though unconfirmed officially, has already ignited a firestorm of speculation among fans, analysts, and insiders alike. Tyler Smith, known for his explosive plays and leadership on the field, has been a cornerstone for the Cowboys over recent seasons. His departure would not only mark the end of an era for Dallas, but could also dramatically shift the balance of power in the league. Sources close to the situation hint that Smith has agreed to terms with a rival franchise, one that reportedly offered a contract so lucrative it was impossible for the star to resist. The alleged deal, described by insiders as a mega contract, is rumored to be one of the most financially significant in recent history, underscoring the value and potential the rival team sees in Smith. This move could bolster their roster substantially, giving them an edge in upcoming seasons. For the Cowboys, losing such a pivotal player would undoubtedly create a void both on and off the field, raising questions about their future strategy and leadership. Fans of the Cowboys have expressed mixed emotions, ranging from disbelief to frustration, as they come to terms with the possibility of Smith's exit. Meanwhile, supporters of the rival team are buzzing with excitement, eager to witness how this acquisition will translate into performance and victories. The league itself stands on edge, anticipating how this blockbuster move will reshape rivalries and playoff dynamics. While official statements remain pending, the sports community is abuzz with debates about what this means for Tyler Smith's legacy. Is this a strategic career move aiming for championship glory, or will it backfire under the weight of expectations? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. This rumored transfer has already rewritten the narrative for both the Cowboys and their rivals, setting the stage for one of the most compelling storylines in the sport today. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.